Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unboxing Women. It's a sixth episode today, and we're here to explore why women in business are often called such a bitch. Our aim is to examine why women are marginalized in the music industry, and we will also broaden our view to the underlying aspects of modern society in general. My name is Dana Rexx, and I'm based in Belgium, and with me is my friend Maika Rose, based in Germany, and we are both independent recording artists and singer-songwriters. This is a live stream on Facebook and Instagram, and we also have a YouTube channel where we upload the episodes on Mondays. Today, we will be talking about inclusion for women. What is it? What does it mean? I've been researching this all day.
Oh, have you? So what does inclusion for women mean, Dana?
My first reaction was, why are we excluded in the first place? That's the whole thing, right? I mean, are we not valid members of this society? But that's where it all starts.
That is true. I mean, I think we've talked about this before, how that's a whole thing on itself, how we could delve into the history of how women have been excluded from decision-making processes throughout the years. And that just kind of snowballed in a way. But that's too big of a can to open, I think.
It might be. I mean, well, for me, it's still the question of, where did society start segregating women out and deeming us not good enough to do the work? You know, I mean, in prehistoric times, if we go back, everybody did their part. You know, food was hunted, but also an equally valuable part of the daily diet was gathered, and medicine and care were provided by the women. So when was it decided to push all of that aside? Who decided this? Show yourselves.
That is a very anthropological subject.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I'm just gonna do a big generalizing here, which a lot of people are probably gonna kill me for, but I'm gonna say, when society started and there had to be some sort of hierarchical system for people to get along in some way or another. So before democracy, I guess, it just kind of went like, well, the strongest, right? So the survival of the fittest. And a lot of the times, men are stronger than women.
Yes, physically, yes, that's right.
Yeah. So at least an upper body strength, I would say. Some men have such skinny legs.
I know, right? What is that with the skinny legs? We're so jealous of you.
I'm not. No, I'm not. No.
I sometimes are. I sometimes are. I'm speaking about myself in the, I don't know, sixth person.
Obviously royal. No, so inclusion, I thought about this as well. Inclusion for women, what does it even mean? I don't think, this is the thing. When you think about it straight out, the first thing is, why are we even excluded? But when you lay that aside and just think about, what does inclusion mean? It just means that we get given the same chances as men do. And that when you're in a boardroom discussing something, or even in general life discussing something, that people listen to you, listen to what you're saying, and then answer to what you're saying. Right? So not just, oh yeah, right, but I think this.
Exactly.
You know, not even going into, because that happens so often. But yeah, so it's crazy. I had a look at the numbers for the UK in the I don't know if it's like the biggest record labels or something. It's from the site Music Business Worldwide.
Okay.
Which is just a kind of UK music business newspaper, online, whatever. And we had this, I think it was last year in the Reeperbahn Festival, because that's actually on right now for anybody who doesn't know. It's digital
Yes.
this year. But we had this last year where it went around and there was this post about how women in the music industry were paid so and so much less than the men. And it is crazy. So
It is crazy. And for
it is
exactly the
crazy,
same
yeah.
job. And on top of that, you
what
have to
always-
prove, you know,
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah, that's what always annoys me, because it's like, or astounds me really, because it's like, I'm doing the exact same job as this guy and he gets more. And oftentimes even it is, if you ask, sometimes it's explained with, oh, well, he has to provide for people.
okay.
And I'm just
what?
But
hello,
you do know that
we're the ones that
bear
make
the children.
Yes. We're like the actual
What if you're a
oven.
single mum? Yeah, exactly. What if you're a single mum? What if you're just kind of even if you're not a single mum, it doesn't matter. You can't give the man more just because historically he was meant to provide.
Just because he has a thing between his legs, it does not make you what I don't. You're not allowed to get more money because you have a dick. Okay.
This is a brain cannot compute.
No.
Thinking does not make sense.
I can't.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Does not compute.
Yeah. So let me find this. So it says, last year, Music Business Worldwide revealed that the average gender pay gap as of April 5th, 2018, so this is an older article, across all three major record companies in the UK was 29.6%. With 29.1 at Universal, 20.9 at Sony, and 38.7 at Warner Music. That means women on average were paid 38.7% less than men.
That's a lot.
This is insane.
I know. I don't get it. Why? And why can't we just go to the table and say, okay, stop this. It has to be the same. So, or you give us the same as the men,
right? Yeah.
Or you give the men less and have them have the same as us. Why is it so hard to bridge that gap? Why is it so hard to bridge that gap?
It's two things here. So one is that it also says that this is a slight improvement from the year before, 2017, which at Warner, 49%. 49%.
That's 50%.
They were getting
less.
nearly 50% less than men doing the same job on average.
When you hear it like that, it's just it's disgusting.
Average. That means some women do get maybe similar or the same pay, and then some must get only 20% of what the man gets.
Yeah,
which is how is that even? How? I mean, I also sometimes, I mean, it's not their fault, but I also sometimes wonder at the women who accept that pay, because you just sit there, you're just like, you're worth more than that.
Sometimes so you have to watch out with that, because sometimes you don't know what your colleagues are paid, though. You don't.
That is
it's
true.
not transparent.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
But I think it's, from an HR perspective, I worked in HR for a short while, for anybody who's questioning my experience right now. Yes, I was one of those HR bitches. No, it's not transparent. And I think that is exactly the job of HR, not to specifically make it transparent, because not everybody wants everybody to know what they're making, but just to be aware of these figures and to close that gap. From HR, it's easy to do. You can see it, just do it. And I think it's because a lot of women start much lower. They get much lower for their for their first jobs, for they're coming in as a junior, and I think that first contract is a lot lower than the men, and that's where they keep lagging, and it just keeps growing, the gap.
The disparity. Yeah,
I think so.
That is true. I've just had a look at a couple of more of these numbers. I went through them earlier, and it also breaks down how many women are in the top percentile, the mid percentile, and the bottom percentile, like the lowest earning and stuff of these companies. And for instance, at Apple UK in 2019, 87% of employees are male in the top earning percentile.
Okay.
Right. And 13% are female.
Okay. That's
so it's it's a big difference.
That's a lot of testosterone.
And then if you go into let's see, in the lower middle quartile, which is basically the third tier, the lowest they're saying here.
Okay.
There are also 80% male employees and 20% female employees. And then the bottom quartile, 60% male, 40% female. So it's like more males in general in Apple UK, right?
Okay.
And then there was this comment. So I'm saying this because there was a comment underneath it, which was just kind of, it doesn't work with the numbers. So this person said something along the lines of, well, this could be explained by companies having so much money to spend on men and so much money to spend on females. And so if it's the same amount, this is just his comment. So if it's the same amount they have to spend on the different genders, then the more women they employ, the less women get paid. And I'm just like, well, look at the fucking numbers. The numbers don't even support that, for one. And for another, why would you fucking separate that on gender, based on gender? Anyway,
that's I don't know if they do that anywhere, but in headcount in HR, there's no gender difference. It's a head count. It's not a head count of females and a head count of males. It's one big pot that you divide. So that doesn't make sense at all. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense at all.
It didn't make sense to me either. So that was a bit kind of, But in general, there was, I think it was Spotify that had more female employees than male in the UK in 2019. So there are some.
Okay.
And I don't think this is the thing, though, right? Because people are always like, oh, well, what do you want? Do you want to be more and the men to be less? And I'm like, no, we just want equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about, I don't care if Apple says, okay, it has so many men and so little women, based on this, is a lot of men. So maybe they could try hiring a few more women, but I'm not aiming for 50-50. I'm not aiming for 60-40, whatever. It's not something to be forced. It's just something that you should consider and give women who are equally or even better qualified than men applying for jobs the same opportunity as men get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't, like I was saying before, it's, say we don't even go there and start thinking of where did all this start happening, and how, on the other hand, how can we otherwise understand the predicament that we're in now? But, say we look at the industry right now and distill how the music biz is tackling this. There are the awareness movements like Me Too and Time's Up, and Such a Bitch, obviously. Obviously. The new generation of professionals, for me, is definitely being made aware of the problem with things like key change, and it's finally being talked about extensively. So that's good. But awareness is just the first step. It's certainly not, it's the start to a solution. It's not the actual solution.
Yeah.
So what is then? How can we solve this? What is inclusion for women? Should we include all women? What is this now? And I just, as a woman, definitely don't want to make it an obligation to split everything in two. I've told you this before, but look at politics. I mean, in the last decade or so, in large parts of Europe, Western Europe, political parties have been obliged by law to have an equal number of men and women, equal number of both genders on their lists. So people can democratically choose between the same amount of men and women from that party. But you end up with really long lists because obviously the original men want to stay on the list and then they need to recruit more women. So they go around pushing a bunch of women into politics that don't really want to be there or don't have like the passion for it. And they end up on the list, with a half-assed political career. They don't really care for it in the first place. And I've said this before, I truly believe that the person filling the job should have the right skill set to do that job without any connection to the gender. So, for example, Apple, if it turns out that it just is that a lot of developers are men. So obviously they employ a lot of men. But I'm sure that the couple of women that are developers and that are as good, that they also employ them. And then it's obviously the case of, well, why aren't you paying them the same? Because they did the same studies. They have, they graduated in the same class, maybe even with honors or whatever. I mean, they did all the same homework and the same projects. Why is, a man worth more to pay more to? I mean, both have children, both have households, both do groceries and drive cars. It doesn't make any sense. So that's always what I try to say. Like, if it turns out that the man is a better choice of the two, then fine. It's a man, but don't hire him because he's a man. And it works both ways. Don't hire her because she's a woman. That doesn't make sense. It's positive discrimination.
Exactly. So I was looking at a couple of other things. And this is actually interesting because when you said there's, like if the developers are mainly male, that goes back to why are developers mainly male? And it's also because women aren't or never used to be encouraged to study in that direction.
Yeah.
So it starts out with the younger generation being encouraged to do not the right thing, because obviously do whatever you fucking want,
yes.
right? But if you want to be a developer, or if you want to be in music, or if you want to be, a plumber or whatever, do that.
I have a good one. If you want to be an underwater welder, then girl, you go do it.
That sounds so awesome. I want to do that.
I heard one day that that's like a really male job, a niche thing, which doesn't make any sense because nothing is heavy underwater. So
True.
It's not that we're not strong enough to lift stuff, and we're smaller, so we can fit into more tiny spaces to weld stuff.
Well, I mean, you say nothing is heavy underwater, but I'd imagine a fucking huge bar of steel would still be fucking heavy underwater.
Yes, no, obviously. I know, but I mean, it's not
exactly.
It's different.
Yeah. So, no, bringing it back to the music industry for a second.
Yes,
there was
enough about welders.
Yeah, exactly. There was this article about PRS starting. PRS is kind of like oh God, you don't know what the GEMMA is, do you?
Yes, I do. But maybe our listeners don't.
Our listeners don't. Yeah. So PRS is the English company that collects royalties for artists, and then distributes them.
It's the PRO for the UK, and GEMMA is the PRO for Germany. So it's like BMI or ASCAP in America, or SABAM in Belgium, or GEMMA in Germany.
Yeah, GEMMA.
GEMMA, sorry, not GEMMA.
Yeah, it's not a gem. It's just GEMMA. No, but basically they started a funding for women and stuff. I think it was like something along the lines of £50,000 of some sort of project, and investing in them and tutoring them to bring a new generation of women to the music industry. And I think that's great, and I think that's a really cool thing to do. But if you really want to change the system, and if you want to change it fast, then you need to start at the top.
Yes.
I mean, there's no way to change. The changing something from the bottom has never really worked, as far as I can recall.
You're right. It's like I just said, the key change and everything, and the new generation is aware of the problem, but that's going to take like 2 or 3 generations to pull through the whole system, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Is the older generation just not, probably they're just not open to it because they're from back in the day and that's how we do it and that's how it should stay. But you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's there are obviously there are obviously people who are decent and who believe in women's equality and inclusion for women. But it's it can be just a couple, and there can be a lot of dickheads in between who are just that. So it's really hard to kind of work around that. And yeah, it's interesting. Because I was reading about just now. I was reading about a woman who studied law, so she has a law degree, and she worked at a lot of law companies before going into music, and then she went into, I think it was, oh dear, Capital Music.
Okay.
Oh, I think it was in the UK. Don't kill me if it wasn't. Her name is Michelle Jubilera. I can't pronounce it properly.
That's okay. I can't pronounce GEMMA.
There you go. See, and so she entered music, and I think she became the COO of Capital Music
Wow.
in whichever country she was in, and she said she remembers when she got pregnant rather early on in her career at Capital. She was really worried about telling her boss, even though they had like a great connection and they, they had a good kind of feeling. She was still worried to tell her boss that she was going to have a child.
Oh no.
Which any man who goes to tell their boss that they're going to be a father is just like, oh my God, let me tell everybody I'm so proud. And it has no consequences for them, because even though you can go into I don't know what it's called in English, but it's fathership leave in German, I think. So it's kind of like paternity leave.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Fathers, so paternity leave. And so you can, but it's still it's a relatively recent thing. So it's not got that stigma attached to it. And with women, they were often then expected back in the day that they would stop working completely, look after the child, and become a housewife. And so that is still something women feel every time they have to go and tell their bosses that they're pregnant, which I think is insane, because it's none of their business that you're pregnant in the first place. But yeah, so she went in and she told her boss, and he was super excited, and he was very kind, and he was just like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. You're starting your career. You're also getting a child, having a child. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with the terms of childbearing.
No.
But basically, he reacted in the best way possible, which is the way every fucking person should respond in that situation. So so that was really great, and I loved reading that. But just the sheer fact that before she went in, she was still, even though she has a law degree, she'd worked in law for years and years and years, she then was the COO of Capital, and she still felt nervous going in to tell her boss that she was pregnant.
Can you imagine? Why are we afraid? Because I guess we're afraid they're going to take it from us. We worked so hard to get there, and then
people actually, people used to fire people then, but they'd let them go. They'd just be like, well, you're pregnant, so you're going to go on maternity leave for like 6 months, and I have to pay you, so I'm not going to pay someone who's not going to do work for 6 months. And then you're just like, well, it's kind of not my fault, blame the guy who impregnated me.
Well, planned or not planned, I mean, we still are the ones that have to bear the children. There's no other side yet. I don't know. Are there any men out there who would want to bear a child? Please let us know. That would be so awesome if, if we could switch places.
If I could offload it, I probably would.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah. But it's interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's kind of, it's scary because you can then go and say, oh, we're not going to give her, we're not going to fire her, but we're not going to give her the big projects anymore because, in X weeks or months, she's going to not be there anyway. Or, you see a woman can't do that job because of all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we're actually back to square one where all of this started. So I don't know,
Yeah.
I think it's in certain places, though, for the music industry, I do think inclusion for women does work. On a festival lineup, for example, I mean, there are literally so many great female acts out there or female fronted that you can easily fill up 50% of the day with kick-ass female music, or like a Grammys program or whatever it is you're organizing, because a few years back there was a big discussion that the Grammys was an all-male thing and all the awards going to the males and all the performances that night were male. But don't rig an award vote so that half of the prizes go to women. Were they voted for or not? An award should go to the person with the best music or video or whatever that category is. And if that's a man, or?
Yeah. Although, like, if you look at the charts, like I looked at the German MTV charts today, and out of 99 songs in the charts, like the top 99 songs, only 11 I could identify as having women.
That's not much.
Artists.
Yeah.
That's not much.
Still, I mean, if a man wins because he has the greatest video, then great, he deserves it. However, you must make sure that you spread out your nominees and nominate an equal amount of both. And, that crap about, but there weren't any female artists with new videos out this year. That's total bullshit. I mean, that means you're only looking at the top tier of like the 1% of all the artists in the world. There are a lot of amazing artists in the other 99% that indeed maybe not were in the charts that day, but is the charts your only...
Exactly. Are the charts your only measurement for success?
Yes, and for good music? No, not at all. There's a bunch of great music that's not in the charts.
Exactly. Because the charts are based off of popular opinion, and a lot of times people then go and actually actively listen to the charts, which puts them more in the charts.
Yes.
To kind of like self-sustaining.
That's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for people who are in the charts. So I mean, I don't begrudge people who are in the charts their success.
Kudos to you.
It's just kind of
it is a self-sustaining system.
99 songs are not the whole of the music industry.
Oh, not at all.
So
actually,
that's the thing.
Those 99 ones, or like the top 100, those are the ones that actually it's worse. Actually, it's very bad. Actually, those are the ones that the radios are sure you will not tune out of. They're so meek and mainstream that you will listen to them anytime, because radios, what do they want? They want profit. How do they get profit? With their ads. How do they get profit from their ads? Because you listen to their radio. If you hear a song that you dislike so much, that's so extreme, or like absolutely not your genre or whatever you call it, and you switch channels, that's a problem for them. So they don't want to take any risks with any cool new bands or sounds or whatever. And how long did it take Lady Gaga or Billie Eilish to actually be played on the radio? It's only when like half the globe followed them and listened to their music elsewhere that they actually got that chance, because then they just couldn't get out of the way of it. It's that's the thing, right? So top 100 for me is, it's not a good place.
You who told me about radio, where people would play DJs. Oh, who was it? No, did I read this in an article? I don't remember this, but somewhere I got this from is that on the radio, people there's this unwritten rule amongst disc jockeys to radio disc jockeys to never play more than 2 female songs back to back.
Why?
But it has to be male, female, male, 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 female, you know, so they don't have any problems with playing like male songs back to back. But there's an unwritten rule, and I read this in an interview somewhere. There's an unwritten rule about never playing more than 2 female songs back to back.
We've got to get a radio DJ on our show. We've got to ask people this.
Yeah, we've got to see if this is actually true.
Yes, this is something we need to test.
Because that would also say that a lot more of men's songs are being represented, right? Because they're played more. So that's interesting.
That is very interesting. Oh goodness, I think we should call it a day.
I think we should, yeah. Right, guys, so that's all for today. And thank you for tuning into Unboxing Women. And be sure to connect with us on our social media. So drop us a DM, send us a message on Facebook or, you know, whatever, or leave us a comment. And make sure to use the hashtag #suchabitch and tell us your story, you know. Join the movement and let's make some changes around here. And also, don't forget to support your favorite artists through, you know, merch or donations or whatever you want. Maybe they're dropping a new single soon. And so my name is Maika Rose and I've been chatting with Rexx. This is a bi-weekly show and our next episode will be on the 1st of October, same time, same place. Thanks again for listening and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.